Tonight's episode features music from Midnight Syndicate. For your listening pleasure, the fellows recount terrifying stories from the annals of the Tales from the Fog.
Hey everybody, this is Brad Bruce, and I am here with
Very scared Jace Marsiglia.
And you are listening to the 5195 podcast. Yeah, you're scared for good reason.
Yeah, we talked about doing this one, and it sounds innocuous to just say, hey man, you got any scary stories
Yeah.
that happened to you? Because everyone does. But you told me one about a week ago that I'm like, that needs to go on the fucking show.
Yeah.
Because that's hardcore. But I told you one of mine that I think creeped you out.
Definitely.
More than it creeped me out, and I was there.
Visually, because I wasn't there, what I created in my head was terrifying.
It was a weird situation.
Because it's, you know why? Because of the unknown.
Yes.
That's what's terrifying.
Yes.
And then the pictures you showed me of the area, just like shrouded in deep forest.
Yes.
You know, it's just ultimate fear stuff.
Yeah.
It is nightmare fuel.
It is.
It is nightmare fuel.
It is. It's very creepy. And I look back on it now and I think of my age and I think of my kid's age and I'm just like, the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll go into mine.
Yeah.
Because it's in my opinion, milder. And I want this episode to end with a bang. Yeah. But basically, we were just, both of us, Brad and I both have a litany of scary stories. But my story that I told Brad about a week or two ago, and I don't even remember what started the subject. We were just talking about fucked up shit that we've been through. You were talking about your old neighborhood and probably got me talking about my old neighborhood and some of the things. And I want to say I was in junior high, so we're talking late, early to mid 90s. And I want to say 7th or 8th grade. Me, my buddy Jeremy, we had went to stay the night at our mutual friend Rob's place in our neighborhood. And he was tucked into another section. And his backyard was butted up against the forest. And where the forest was to his house, if you trekked through, like you hopped his back fence and just kept walking, you would come out into a clearing, and that's where the flea market was. We had this flea market, all these tables, and it was a fucking wonderful place to find discarded porn. And when you're a horny teenage boy, free porn is just, it's like winning the lottery. It's so cool. But yeah, there was a ton of shit back there. Rob had collected enough porn, and he had a tree house. This sounds so adolescent, but it was a hardcore tree house. You had to climb up with a ladder. It was probably 40 feet off the ground, or at least seemed like it. It was high enough that I felt nervous climbing up there.
Okay.
And was like, we're going to sleep up here? Like, are you fucking kidding me? You know. So we climbed up there, and one of the things that me and Jeremy say constantly is, I'm slipping on porn. Because we were. Basically his entire floor of the treehouse was just porn.
Yeah.
So you get up there and you're just like, oh, fuck. I slipped on tits.
Yeah.
You know, so we're just 3 teenagers flipping through porn, laughing, farting, all this good stuff. But the plan was, at a certain point in night, we're going to climb out of this thing and just walk around the neighborhood because it was going to be creepy. And we had a curfew. There was an actual curfew where if you were beneath a certain age, if you were out on the street, you were busted, you know. And I don't know what could have happened because we were minors. I don't know what kind of trouble we'd have been in. Probably the type of trouble that comes with waking up your parents in the middle of the fucking night. Do you know what your kids have been doing? It's 11 p.m. Do you know where your children are? You remember that?
I remember those.
Yeah, well, we
right
were
on TV.
We were walking the neighborhood, apparently.
Yeah.
So we set an alarm, probably one of our watches, you know, little calculator watch. And we woke up around like 2 or 3 a.m. just to make sure everyone was just totally asleep in the neighborhood. So we climbed down and we hopped the fence. We're just kind of walking through the woods a little bit, which is already dangerous as fuck. And we came out of the neighborhood at a point, it was a section of the neighborhood I wasn't particularly familiar with. Because where Rob lived, it was more on the southern side of the neighborhood. Jeremy lived more on the northeast side. And I visited Jeremy more, and that was actually arguably the more dangerous side of the neighborhood. We used to see a lot of drug deals, and it was a bad place. So I wasn't particularly familiar with where we were. I was just kind of relying on the guys. So I was just tagging along, and we were walking the neighborhood, and there's a weird electricity in the air when you're out in the night alone and you're not supposed to be. You feel it, and it's excitement and it's nerves. You're kind of shaking, you know, and we were just running around acting, you know, we were just walking the neighborhood bullshitting and trying to shut up. You know, just so those deals are just, you're being too loud. You're going to wake up somebody. And we got to a street where we were going to make a turn and keep walking, and we seen the silhouette of what looked like a very big dog.
Okay.
And we stood at this corner for probably 15 minutes staring at this thing and trying to see, did its ear move? Is it moving? You know, it could have been a lawn ornament of a dog.
Yeah.
It just had that look. It was basically a cut silhouette of a dog. But we were like, if we make a break for it and he chases us, we're fucked. So it was like, it turned into like a, get closer and see if it's a dog. And it's like, you get closer. Yeah, fuck you. You know? So finally we were like, we don't want to chance it. Let's go this way. And Rob had said there's a gate that leads to our school. It was our elementary school from when we were younger. I won't name the school just to be on the safe side. But basically what it was it was a chain link fence where 2 houses were kind of kitty corner. And then there was like this metal archway. So it wasn't really a gate. It was just you walked through an archway. And we were going to cut through. Actually, the plan, I think, was to cut through and then just fuck around on the swing sets and jungle gym, you know, at 3 a.m. Just because we could, you know. We had the run of the neighborhood and we felt like hard asses. So whatever. We start cutting through, and mind you, at the back of this school where we were, there's no lights. It's just too deep behind the school for there to be any street lights. So we are cloaked in complete darkness. And to our left is pretty much a half mile of chain link fence, completely covered with shrubs. So you could see that the house, it was just a line of backyards, but everyone had the shrubbery. So, and then to our right was just more open field that I don't remember where it landed. And the school was more, you know, to our right, but diagonal, you know. And we were like, okay, well, let's start walking. All of a sudden we stop. I forget who noticed it first. Whoever it was who noticed it pointed, and we looked. You know how these schools on the playgrounds, there's always like that big section of concrete, just like a big square. Mm-hmm. You know, usually that's where the tetherball pole is or whatever. There's a burn barrel that's on fire.
Okay.
And it's there, and there are 6 people in robes with their hands up in the air, like in a V formation, and they're not moving. And we hear chanting. And we're like, who the fuck are these people? What is this shit? And it just looked like a very cheap, impromptu, satanic ritual. All we saw was fire and 6 people who were motionless in a circle around this burn barrel. And the 3 of us are just like, at this point, we're like, do we chance the fucking dog now? Because the freaks are certainly out at night. You know what I mean? It was like, what the fuck did we just almost walk into? So we stood there for a minute like, did they see us? It's the dog all over again. We're like, what is it? Can they see us back here? And mind you, we were probably, like I said, to the left was like a half mile of chain link fence. They were probably a half mile away.
Okay.
In that other direction. So it was like, do we double back and take our chances with what could be a dog, could be a lawn ornament? Or do we just hug the fence, keep to the shadows, and walk the length of the playground and hope they don't see us, and then just make a break for it? So in our genius logic, we're like, you know what? We could just stay in the shadows. They won't see us because they're too far away. So we basically, backs to the fence, kind of inched along, almost like we were on the ledge of a building, and just kind of kept our eyes, and nobody in that little circle moved. Not once. And the thing is, they're in a circle, so anywhere from 2 to 3 of these guys were probably looking in our direction. And they never looked.
So the heads were straight on. They weren't like up to the sky.
No, they weren't. They definitely weren't up to the sky, but they were enough under the hoods that I couldn't make out any faces. It's just like a wraith. Mm-hmm. It was just black. But the hands were up. And nobody's hands came down. The chanting never stopped. And we just kept inching along. And it felt like forever. It just felt like the longest, slowest trek. And the entire time thinking, they've got to see us.
Yeah.
They've got to. There's nobody else out here. Like I said, a couple of them are technically looking in our direction, if they're looking at us at all. We got to a point where we were around the school enough that part of the walls obscured that little tarmac or whatever. So our logic was, if they can't see us, if we can't see them anymore, they probably can't see us. So we made a break for it, ran around the bend where the buses drop kids off, hopped a couple of fences, and scrambled back into that treehouse. The weird thing is, the school, compared to where Rob lived, was a bit of a hike, and I don't remember the run at all. I just remember running until it felt like my lungs were on fire, and then just we're in the treehouse, all of us panting. Like, what the fuck did we just see? So that was terrifying, and what was funny was my kids have gotten to the point where they're like, especially my son, tell us shit about your childhood kind of thing. And I mentioned that story, and it's not that my kids didn't believe me. I do joke with them a lot. I'll tell a tall tale, because my dad used to do that to me. He'd be like, when I was at the amusement park, some lady fell out of the sky ride, and I reached over and caught her, and your dad's a badass, And I would do the same thing because it was funny to me. So I would make up these stupid stories, But I was like, this one was legit. I was like, this really happened. And I was like, to this day, I don't know who they were. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what was in the burn barrel. Hopefully nothing, just fire. But just in case their eyes glazed even a little bit, I went, I'll text Jeremy. I was like, I'm going to see if he remembers. Except Rob, I didn't keep in touch with as much. He was just one of the friends that kind of fell off, when everyone moved and grew up. I just didn't keep in touch with him as much as I could have. But Jeremy, I've been friends with since I was little. Like we grew up together. And all I did was say, Jeremy, do you remember what we saw when we stayed at Rob's and went through the school, the back of the school that night? I didn't lead him on. I didn't say anything. I wanted the kids to see his response. And he hits me back with, oh, it was a fucking cult. He goes, oh yeah, I remember the fucking cult. He goes, that was some scary shit. And the look on both of my kids' faces were like, holy fucking shit, you were for real? And I'm like, look at the text. And what was funny, because Jeremy's just kind of like, yeah, we were fucking stupid back then. And he's still talking to me, through text. But my kids are looking at me like, where the fuck did you live? And I'm just like, hey man, I was like, it was weird. And to be honest, we weren't supposed to be out.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to see whatever was happening that day.
Yeah.
But it stuck with me forever.
I mean, how could it not?
It was so fucking bizarre. Yeah. And I mean, I think about some of the weird culty shit that I've learned over the years. Jonestown, Heaven's Gate, all that weird satanic. Well, those aren't satanic, but the satanic type shit.
Yeah.
And I've heard of, people killing children or babies or animals. And I'm thankful that if that did happen, we were late.
Yeah.
We didn't see anything, but it was weird to see 6 people motionless standing around a flaming burn barrel at like 3 a.m. at my elementary school.
Yeah.
Fucking weird.
See, it's funny that you refer to it as weird. When I was told that story, I referred to it as fucking horrifying.
And
it affected me in a completely different way.
Which is weird because, you weren't there. Obviously,
right.
We didn't know each other. Total opposite coasts.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that it creeped you out as much as it did. And if I remember correctly, I showed you the text.
Yeah, you did.
I was able to find it. I thumbed through.
Did.
And it was like, it just verified to my kids at least that this happened.
Yeah. And
it was weird because it's so bizarre that sometimes I'm like, is it just something we made up? Or, it sounds so fucking weird, but we saw it. All 3 of us saw it. All 3 of us snuck past it. Mm-hmm. It was just one of those weird adolescent adventures that nobody else has.
Yeah.
But to this day, I have no idea who they were or what they were doing. And we never ventured out like that again.
Yeah.
It just never came up again for us to, hey, you want to do that again? No, fuck you. No.
Yeah.
Because it was terrifying. I mean, even if nothing had happened, it's still nerve-wracking to get away with such a defiant thing as being underage and sneaking out in the middle of the fucking night alone. It was just a weird, surreal experience, but it was like, boy, this is the kind of shit we weren't supposed to see. Mm-hmm. This is exactly why we should have just been in our beds, sleeping, Yeah.
But, well, see, some of the key points of that story that really drove it home for me, that made it terrifying, was, a curfew.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like, why do they want everyone off the street? You know what I mean? And it's like, so I literally just associated that with something going on in the town to where they're getting people off the street so they can do these practices so no one can see it.
I never considered that. Because usually a curfew is enacted because of something.
Yeah.
And we were too young and naive to have any idea. We just knew, even if there was no curfew, we'd have been in deep, deep shit for sneaking
Just
out.
being out. Yeah.
Just being out.
But that's by your parents.
That's by our parents.
Now, curfew set in motion by
authorities.
And for what reason?
And that was the thing. Our biggest concern when we snuck out was, if you see a car, duck somewhere. hide behind another car, hide in the backyard behind a tree, because it could be a cop.
Right.
And we never saw, I don't recall seeing one car ever. Nobody pulled up, nobody pulled out. You know, we didn't hear any. Obviously, at night, you'll hear in the distance, you know, somebody's hauling ass somewhere. But we never, the one thing that we were keenly looking for never came to be.
Yeah.
And we ran into something so bizarre.
Yeah.
That I can't explain it.
And see, and that's the other part, you know, like I said, curfew. And then the other part of it that's fucking terrifying, because I'm inserting myself in the situation. B, you guys ran back to a fucking exposed treehouse.
Well, the treehouse was technically in the woods.
Right, but see, listen to what you just said.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're still like, what if, this is where my mind goes, maybe this is writer fucking imagination guy, and I'm sure you're going to understand this. Let's just say you guys, you know, because this is what I got out of that.
Okay.
You made it back.
Yes.
And you guys were wondering, did they see us?
Yeah.
You know? So let's just say you wake up at 4:00 in the morning and like you glance out and now they're surrounded the tree.
That's scary.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a really fucking scary thought.
That's what I'm saying.
Which is funny because you know how we did wake up? Rob's older brother was shooting the floor from below with a paintball gun. We woke up to like, and we're like, what the fuck is that?
After the night I had, I
yeah, and all of a sudden, Rob's like, that's my fucking brother. He's got a paintball gun. And we're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was out of sight, out of mind. We'd bring it up now and again. Like, do you remember that fucking weird shit?
Yeah.
But it was something I hadn't thought of in probably 20 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, when your kids are like, tell us some wacky shit from when you were our age. And I pull something like that out of the bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was one of those deals where I was like, oh yeah, that did fucking happen. And it just, it creeped my kids out so bad.
Fuck yeah.
When my buddy Jeremy was
verified
it without any provoking.
Yeah.
It could have been.
You didn't say, hey, remember the cloaks.
No, it was, do you remember when we tried to cross the school?
What
at like
happened?
3 a.m. And it could have been any random thing. And he just went, you mean the cult?
Yeah.
And I'm like, my kids were just like, holy
dude,
shit.
that's so bad. Because I just put myself in the situation where I'm like, you made it back. Like the last thing I want to be is in another exposed, trapped place.
You're thinking more like when we got home, we should have just scrambled into the house.
Locked the doors, and there's a level of safety because you have adults there.
Yeah, true.
You know, versus still being having some sort of vulnerability by being in the woods in a treehouse.
True, yeah. Because I mean, don't get me wrong. This was an impressive treehouse.
Yeah.
To house 3 kids who could just roll their sleeping bags out.
Yeah.
But it was high enough that we were able to just pull the rope ladder up.
Yeah.
Someone would have really had to have made an effort to climb up.
But I'm saying, could you imagine?
But like you said, if they're surrounding the tree, not letting you down, or God forbid, lighting a fire.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What if you guys were laying there and you're like, what does that smell?
Yeah.
And then you start hearing a faint chant.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean?
That is way scarier.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, it's fucking terrifying.
It was weird. That was very 90s Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
We ran into the grave robbers.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
It was definitely like something out of a,
because there's some factors in that story that I think you're even like, we got it out, so it's like whatever. But I'm like, no, dude, curfew and fucking, you know, like I said, still, it's almost like it's not over, guys. Like you're still in the woods in a tree house.
Like, are you nervous that I've told this story for fear that someone may be listening?
Yeah,
and going, I know that neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh my God. Could you imagine?
I'm gonna call the gang back together.
Could you fucking imagine?
That would be wild. But
yeah.
Because again, how no one saw us, I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. I wasn't even in my goth phase yet.
Yeah.
Where I was completely in black. No, I might have had a band shirt on and some blue jeans.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, blue jeans, I don't care how deep in the shadows you are. Someone could have looked up and seen a pair of legs
Yeah.
cloaked against the darkness, just kind of itching along.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, there were so many ways that we could have been busted that night, and we weren't.
Yeah.
And the rest of it was a blur.
Yeah.
It was just a story we bragged about when we got back to school on Monday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was just so fucking weird, and I'll never forget
I loved it. It's weird. It was odd.
It was. I don't know what else to
horrifying.
call it. Because we were scared. Obviously,
Yeah.
we were scared. But I think I'm just confused by it, because when you grow up in a neighborhood that doesn't have that kind of shit,
Yeah.
to your knowledge,
Uh-huh.
it's weird. I'm like, you mean our neighborhood had fucking freaks?
Uh-huh.
Fucking satanic freaks?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
I mean-
had I seen those guys in the cloaks, I would have fucking ran back, jumped on that dog, and rodeo rode that motherfucker back to my house. It was over. Like,
Here,
fuck
fine.
a dog.
Fine, chase me, dog. I don't give a fuck. It's better than being sacrificed to Beelzebub.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild. It's a
Yeah.
wild story.
The story really got under my skin.
I'm very surprised.
Because even after the fact, like that night, and I went upstairs, I was laying in bed thinking about that.
Really?
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a wild adventure / whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was weird. It was a weird one.
Yeah.
I think about it from time to time nowadays.
How could you not? You know?
It's because I can put myself in my kid's shoes now, and my daughter is either the same age or slightly older. And I'm thinking, if my daughter snuck out of the house at all, too much. But to have seen something like that, yow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's weird to look at my kid and be like, wow, when I was your age, I was really fucking brazen.
Uh-huh.
You know, I hope to God you're not like me. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was just.
So, how close are you now to that place in proximity?
Where that happened?
Mile wise, what do you think?
Between 20 and 30 miles.
Too close.
Yeah.
You're still too close.
Yeah. No, it's from where I live, 2 or 3 cities away.
Fuck.
Tops.
That's too close.
A neighboring county.
Yeah. Well, because the story I'm about to tell, I'm still too close.
Yeah. No, you are.
I'm still too close.
You are. And like you, I was way more creeped out by this than you might have been telling it. But yeah, your experience to me sounded more intense. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we'll have people write in and just say, I don't know whose was more fucked up. If I had to put it to a vote, I'm going to say yours is more fucked up.
See, and mine is yours. It really is. Like,
Really?
Yes, it really is.
Because God, there's details to yours that I'm just like, fuck, I'd have just laid on the ground and died. I'd have just been like, I'm done. I can't handle.
You know what's funny about mine and yours is the similarity. There's a loose setup. That's the same.
Very. Yeah, you're right. Yours, though, I'm not going to spoil it, but the fact that you heard things verbally, seen things after the fact, I'm sitting here like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
You know, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
How old?
I had to be probably 12
Oof. Yeah.
because it's like elementary.
This was elementary for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeesh. It's even worse.
Just newly 12
Okay.
because this was I believe it was the summer of 1986
Okay.
because I was new to the town.
Okay.
All right. I moved from Texas, and so everything was still very new. And, I came from a small town in Texas, Grand Prairie. It was similar to what you had shown me as far as I lived in a red brick home surrounded by woods. So I went from that to I lived in a house in Lake Elsinore, which was like almost desert-ish. You know, we had a lake down the street and the mountains, but it wasn't shrouded in forest. It was open. It was developed.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It was still, the town had some age to it.
Okay.
And it wasn't your like typical sidewalks, you know, things like that. It was weird. The town was set up weird. It was like resort town kind of a thing. And I remember we used to go to the school a lot and just hang out. Because where my house was, the school was very, very close. I could see my school from my backyard.
Okay.
And there was a big field, but it was actually owned by somebody. So we actually asked if I could cut through, just go through the field and then just hop over the fence and go to school versus walking down my street against a main road and then up another main road to go to my school.
Sure.
And they were like, yeah, that's totally fine, you know? So, but one summer night, sitting around the neighborhood bored, there was about 6 of us. We decided to go to the school at night. And this was after midnight for sure. We hop over the fence and we're walking, jump another fence, walk up to the school. And again, we're walking across the big field and we got to walk sort of up an embankment to get to all the trailers where all the classrooms were. So we go in between 2 trailers, sort of towards the field, not in the middle of the trailer, but closer to the edge where we walked up the embankment, closer to like where I could see my house.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and we're quiet. We're just hanging out. We're talking, you know. And we heard gravel footsteps.
Yeah.
And we just like were silent. And at the edge of the trailer, we saw someone walk by.
Ugh.
And then stop. No one would go look. Now there was like a 16-year-old with us. I figured he was the leader. He was the oldest. He should have went and looked. And he was like, I'm not going to look.
Did he, whoever this was, you said just walked from one side to the other?
Well, he was on the other side of the trailers.
Yeah.
And he was just walking from trailer to trailer.
So he did like the Bigfoot walk. You're just
pretty much. Yeah.
Just strolled right through and you're like, what the fuck was
pretty
that?
much. Yeah. And you know, of course they're all like, let's run, let's leave, you know? And I'm like, no, dude, we got to see where this guy is.
Yeah. Cause he could pop out anywhere.
Yeah.
You know.
And no one's going to go. So I'm just like, okay, I'll go. And I get up and I'm like hugging the trailer, my back to it, kind of walking really slow.
Yeah.
I have my back to the trailer that he just passed in front of.
Yes.
Okay. I get to the corner of the trailer. I peek over and I see this fucker standing there.
Yeah.
And he's like less than a foot next to me.
Jesus. So he crossed and just
Yeah, he stayed there.
Yeah.
And I fucking froze.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this guy is going to turn around and grab me. These fucking dickheads that I'm with are going to run home and leave my ass here to get killed. And he walked away slowly. So as he did that, I fucking scurried back and I'm talking shaking.
Yeah.
I get back and I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And as we stand up, there's a window above us. And I look up in the window and I see the flash of red light. And I'm like, what is that? And like I nudge one of my friends that was there with me and I point. And he looks up and he was like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm telling everyone stand up. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Right.
And we're crouched down because as soon as we stand up, we're basically at chin level to the bottom of the window where we could see in the school.
So,
like see in the window.
Right. And anyone inside could see your head
yes.
pop up.
I don't know why, man. I don't know why, but there was something inside of me that was like, I want to look in.
Yeah.
So
Now, did you know at the time what the red light was? Okay.
No, because it was flashing around.
Yeah.
It was just moving around. Not like frantically, but it was just sweeping around. I stood up and edged to the corner of the window with these fools behind me. Mm-hmm. I did have one friend, that was by my side and stood there. And I look at him and I'm kind of like, let's look.
Sure.
And he's like, okay. And I'm just like, okay. So we stood up and look. And it's like, as we stood up, we got just our eyes to the window and looked in. And I saw this fucker in the classroom holding a flashlight, like those military flashlights with the red lens on it.
Yeah.
And he's shining it around in there. And then it fucking sweeps over to us.
Yeah.
And literally lit us up. And then runs over to the window.
The guy does?
Yes. And he's at the window and I saw his face. I can describe like what he was wearing and the look on his face. He's just staring at us. It's emotionless.
Yeah.
And I'm just like
dead stare.
Yeah. And it seemed like a fucking eternity, but I remember telling them just like screaming, run.
Yeah.
And so we all just charged down the hill.
Yeah.
Looking back, and the classroom is now black.
Yeah.
As we're running across the field, and this has to be now on the closer to probably 2:00 in the morning.
Sure.
This guy screams at the top of his lungs, "You're only leaving because I'm letting you."
Jesus Christ.
And as we're hopping the fence, I see the flashlight coming down the embankment.
Oh my God.
And like, I mean, where he's like
huffing it.
I'm running so fast and I'm like, fuck all of you guys. If you better keep up.
Yeah.
And I dove over the fence and there was barbed wire and it cut the fuck out of my leg that I still carry the scar to this day. And then running through my front gate.
Yeah.
And I'm telling my friend, go get my brothers. Go get my brothers. Because as we're shutting the gate, the light is still coming.
Yeah.
One of my friends goes in and it's like 2 a.m. and like literally is screaming in my brother's house. And could you imagine they're asleep?
Jesus. Yeah, that would have scared the shit out of it.
And he's like yelling and my brother comes out and he's just like, what the fuck is going on? And we're just like, some dude's chasing us from the school. And he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so at my brother's house, where we were at, we had 2 houses on the property. We had the front house, they had the back house. It was like a big property. And my brother yelled at this dude like, hey, I got a gun. Get closer and I'll shoot you.
Yeah.
And the light went out and that was it. And you couldn't see him.
Yeah. He's part of the inkwell now.
Yeah.
Oof.
Completely gone. I remember not even wanting to be at my house.
Well, sure. But that's what's different from our stories. He saw where you live.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Yes. And it was...
Because he's clearly unhinged. Yeah.
Fucking clearly. I remember us leaving my house that night and going to my friend's house and staying the night at my friend's house. Because like my house, we had a pool and we were hanging out, and it was a fun place to hang out. But it was like, I did not sleep at all that night, obviously. Mm-hmm. We walked down the street over to my friend's house. We stayed in his house and I came back the next day and I had such a uneasy feeling.
Sure.
And I remember dreading when the darkness was coming.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, is he out there? Mm-hmm. And this literally did stick with me for a while.
Yeah.
And then obviously nothing ever happened, never saw him again. But it was still fucking crazy impactful. And I can tell you this, it was the last time I ever went to that school after hours. That's for sure.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's definitely for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was pretty fucking interesting.
Yeah, I'm still creeped out by that fucking story.
Yeah, it's wild.
That dude, he could still be out there, How old do you think he was? You said you could remember the face.
I'm definitely going to say 30s easily.
So he could conceivably be in his 60s now.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
It's still lurking around.
Yeah.
Or hopefully just in solitary confinement. Because,
Yeah. And now when I tell you, I see his face right now. It was a dirty jacket with a dark button-up shirt and blue jeans, and he had boots on.
Yeah.
Kind of like work boots, okay? Sandy blonde hair. He had the facial features of Willem Dafoe.
Ooh.
It was a very weathered, hard-edged look to him,
Yeah.
you know? And
Someone who's been through some shit.
yeah, no, definitely. It was one of those things where this is my welcome to my new town.
Yeah.
You know, because I'd only been in this town for
Please take me home.
a few months. Yeah, it was a few months, you know, because even these kids I was hanging out with, they were still really new.
Yeah.
You know, because like I had said, I didn't meet the kids like these kids at school. Because when I first came here, we had went to school to register for the new school year.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of summer, so I didn't make friends at school.
Okay.
I made the friends in the neighborhood.
This was more, throughout the neighborhood.
Yeah, and they became my friends because we went to the same school.
Sure.
You know, and that was my introduction to that school before I ever even attended it. You know, that's what I was welcomed with.
Did you have to attend that school?
Yeah, that was my school.
So, did you ever go into that room?
I never went in that room. Yeah, I never had a class in that room. But
It'd be like, Jesus Christ.
yeah, it was funny is I did tell one of my teachers.
Yeah.
I had a teacher there that really took me under his wing, and I told him the story, you know. Of course, the type of person he was, it was more funny, and he sort of made fun that, oh, he was just trying to kill you guys.
Yeah.
Joking about it, you know, because it was, I mean, that was a different time. That was completely different time.
Yes,
you
it
know?
was.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
as we adore to say.
yeah. Yeah. No, it
Jesus.
was an interesting story for sure, you
See,
know.
yours is interesting, mine's weird, and both of us are sitting here like, are you fucking kidding me? That's like a journey into hell. And
I
you're
still
just
say
like,
yours is worse.
How bizarre.
I still.
No, I think yours is worse because you were caught.
Yeah, oh no, we were caught.
That's, the fact that he not only caught you, but had the wherewithal to chase you, threaten you, get in your face.
Yeah.
We
stared at each other for probably 5 seconds.
That's 4 seconds more than I would have even stood there.
And the reason why is because I was literally frozen.
Frozen in
I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I couldn't move.
That's a long time. That's an eternity.
And I think that's why it's so burned in my mind. Because he had the light, and it was almost like he wanted to shine the light on his face.
Yeah.
Like, in actuality, like thinking about it, what it was is he put his body against the window and the light was in his hand. And when he pushed up, he illuminated his face.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he maniacally put the light under his chin, but
scary campfire shit.
But he still like went up to it and looked, It was almost like this fucker knew we were there.
It sounds like he was toying with you.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if he saw you on that first pass.
I think he did, man. I think he did. And I think, honestly, he might have been looking for us. Like, I really do. But then again, it's like, then he broke into a classroom.
Yeah.
That's
what's weird about it.
So regardless, he was up to no good.
No good.
No
I mean, good.
Out after midnight, breaking into a school, he was up to no good.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I think one of the details that really creeps me out is the military grade flashlight.
Yeah.
Because this guy could have been ex-army, ex-military, probably has no compunction with killing. You know what I mean? Fast and agile.
And think about this. And this is something that my brother said to me.
Yeah.
He's like, bro, 1986, you think he's like maybe 40s, 50s? This dude could have been some crazy Vietnam vet.
Oh, yeah.
Just all whacked
Just
out.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, thanks for that.
Yeah,
that
that's
comforting tidbit.
That's good. It worked out so well for the people in Rambo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy, he's not up to, saving people from Afghanistan.
No, not at all.
This is fucking free.
Yeah. And you know what? And we have tons more stories.
Oh yeah, both of us.
We have tons more stories.
But those were the two that when we were just kind of rapping about it a few nights ago, I was like, you win. You fucking win.
and I
Because
literally
that
thought the opposite.
That's so funny because mine just, we literally, figuratively and literally skirted
Yeah.
our issue. Your guy ran up and got right in your fucking face and was like, I let you live tonight.
Yeah.
You're only leaving because I allowed it or whatever he said. And I'm just like, fuck that.
And see,
Lord.
I chalk it up to like, okay, fucking crazy nut job versus satanic, ritualistic people doing something out there, that
doing
maybe,
something insidious
yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And maybe they were like, because you don't know, you said they were like a half a mile away. They could have been like, as they're doing this, like, you see them, right? Yeah, we see them. Okay, they're fine. Okay. We'll just let them go. Because you don't know what these guys were up to. You know what I mean? Like
if they wanted to, they could have seen all 6 robes turn and glide across the fucking field.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I don't think I've ever run so fast in my fucking life.
I can imagine.
But it was just, to me, your story, the fact that he leaned into the crazy to scare you guys more.
Yeah.
There's a sadism to your story that mine doesn't have. Seriously. I mean, this guy saw that you were children and was like, I'm going to fucking scare them.
I wholeheartily agree in that part.
And don't forget, we've also said this before. This was the 80s.
Yep.
Kids were being kidnapped. Kids were being sent into, trade.
Yeah. I mean, this was the
and kids were being murdered.
Yes. This was the milk carton era.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because I remember that was the first time I had ever seen it with my mother bringing groceries home and actually seeing a kid on a milk carton. It's like, what the fuck?
It's legit.
Yeah.
It's a wonder we survived the 80s at all.
Amen.
I mean, seriously, because the more I look back on that era, the more I'm like, how were we allowed to leave the house?
Yeah.
There were serial killers. There were kidnappers. Not that these things don't exist. I mean, serial killers are a lot less today. But kids being kidnapped. Since sitting down and doing this episode, 30 kids have probably been kidnapped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That horrible?
The statistic alone is just mind-boggling. But
Yeah.
it's like, for some reason in the 80s, why did it seem so much more prevalent? And I mentioned this once to my shrink, and he said it was the same thing. We are born just after the era of Vietnam and people coming back completely broken. Just the horrors of war. Some people came back a little worse for wear, but there were some who came back broken.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys turned to crime or did something horrible. And their parents came from World War II. And, he mentioned this, like, just the way the parental, paternal thing was, it was so disturbed by war and what they went through that it was breeding children different and disturbed, and it ushered in the era of serial killers and kidnappers. And we haven't had, we've had war, but we haven't had a Vietnam since. And I feel like that generation has more or less died off or moved on. And that's why we don't hear about serial killers as much anymore. But kidnapping is still horrifically prevalent. Yeah. And I just, you're right. Your brother probably nailed it.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I keep coming back to the military grade flashlight. You know what I mean? Like, and the boots.
Yeah.
And it's just,
and
that's what I mean. Like, a flashlight in those days was just a fucking flashlight. It's no different than today.
Yeah.
A red flashlight.
Yeah.
This guy had to have pulled it from duty or something, or at least stolen it from someone who was.
Yeah.
But it's just too many weird factors for me to think that you guys could have made it out alive if he got a hold of you.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. That was something that did cross my mind.
You know, in some multiverse, you guys didn't make it. You know,
Right.
It's a scary, scary thought.
It is. It is one of those things where you don't know what, a gun, blade, you don't know what he had. And I mean, it only takes, a quarter ounce of pressure to, squeeze a trigger,
Yep.
Or to swipe a blade is going to take you out, and it's like, if you're running, obviously, if this is a military guy, he's going to be able to keep up.
Should have been able to.
Because I'll tell you this, from the time I looked up and I was like, run, and we took off and he was still standing there and we ran down the embankment to when I looked up, it was black. He was already on his way out and we're
Which
halfway.
means he scrambled out of that school.
He did, yeah.
To chase you guys.
He did. And
Which is just even more unhinged.
and had the mindset to like scream at the top of his lungs.
Yes.
You're only leaving because I'm letting you. And it wasn't like it was quite, I mean, I guarantee you someone in that neighborhood heard that.
It was just so booming.
Because it was, yes.
Yeah.
Like it was so loud, And I remember one of my friends, and I won't name him because he was so humiliated, but he's doing the ugly cry as he's running.
I would have been.
It was sad, but I'm like, shut the fuck up. But I'm like, I have a smirk on my face because there is like there was a level of adrenaline that like drove me to it.
Yes.
Like I was like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy. And I was just like, shut the fuck up.
Can't fault the kid for being so utterly terrified. It's a wonder he kept up.
Yeah.
That's a fucking terrifying
It was crazy.
story.
And you know what, man? Even aside from that stuff, it's just like the curiosity of the unknown, paranormal, that kind of stuff. I've always been like kind of immersed in it just because of doing this. I was working on a ghost hunting documentary.
Sure.
And had a lot of wild experiences with that. So, I mean, we definitely have a nice arsenal of, stories to pull from to be able to, get them out there. So,
No, I think it'd be cool.
yeah.
But yeah, having this talk with you last week, I'm just kind of like, this has got to be recorded.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Both of us have got such fucked up stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the plan for this week was just like, what's your crazy ass story from childhood?
Yep. It was a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess now, that it's, what time do we have here? It's about 3 a.m. The witching hour.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
Just, go to bed.
What a good way to end it.
Why don't you go to bed because I allowed it?
Yeah. Oh, great.
Fucker.
All right, man. Well, it
Yeah.
was fun.
I guess.
Scary.
It's fun, scary, because we survived. We made it through these ordeals.
Yeah, we did. Now I'm really curious about the next one.
Yeah. How do you bounce back from this?
Yeah, definitely.
Who knows?
Okay. You should give out our email.
Yeah.
So if you guys have some scary stories,
Oh gosh, yeah.
send them in and we'll pick some and we'll read them on the air.
Sure, yeah, and we'll both react to it in real time.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. 5195podcast@gmail.com. And you can also find us on, Instagram, Facebook,
TikTok,
all of it. I don't know, Twitter? Are we on Twitter? I don't know.
I don't know. Have to talk to the producer.
We'll talk to the producer.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should be able to find us any which way.
Yeah.
And, all right.
For sure. Okay, man. Well, until next time.
See you guys.